Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senapetaratna. Grab your favorite drink, maybe even light a candle and get a snack, and we'll get started. Today, I have actually lit a candle and it smells like a fireplace, so it's fabulous. I'm in a dark room with a candle and my microphone, so here we are. I have my pumpkin spice tea and some peanuts. So let's get real and cozy, right? This month is a month that we celebrate anniversaries in our house. No, not birthdays, not wedding anniversaries, but God anniversaries in our lives. So 24 years ago, we moved into our trailer. We figured we'd be here maybe a year. It was our temporary spot because we couldn't stay in the apartment we were in, and so we were making too much money for that apartment anymore, which is kind of weird, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. And so we're like, we'll just move into this trailer for a year and we'll see where we can move from there and look for new apartments or new places to live. And here we are 24 years later. And then 15 years ago was another big God anniversary in our lives. And that is my husband quit his 10 years after 10 years at Ameriprise. He quit his job and went full time doing Christ Connection, the ministry. Now, I still had a job, which was great until up till 3 years ago. But he went full time, and that's what he's been doing for 15 years, which is amazing. I will never forget that day and the emotions of sadness and fear that I had. He was ecstatic, like he was so excited. It was like a great step for him, and I was really proud of him. I was scared spitless. Like I was like, this is really scary. And here we are 15 years later, now both full time in the ministry, which is crazy. But the third God anniversary that I never saw coming was we pulled our daughter from a brick and mortar school, which was a charter school, and we decided to homeschool. Not because of anything bad with the charter school, not because we were, in anger or anything. It just seemed to be a good step for our family, and we really didn't understand it. We sat around one day and we were talking about homeschooling, and I remember thinking, I never thought in a million years we'd be sitting here having this conversation. And it was just Kevin and I, and we kind of did a little planning session on like, could we actually do this academically? Could we continue to challenge her? She loves to be challenged academically. Can we make sure that socially she's still social? And all those pieces. Can all three of us be in the house at the same time, 24 hours a day? Is that going to work? Those kind of pieces. And God was just like, take this step. And so we started down the journey of homeschooling, not knowing whether we would continue after January, because it was in October that we did this. And like, we'll give it till January, we'll see how it goes. And then it was, well, we'll give it till June, we'll see how it goes. And I remember that summer, right after we finished, the first year, quote unquote, of homeschooling, because it wasn't a full year. And God started opening things up for us. And we ended up the next year, her ninth grade year, going overseas to to Belgium, and spending 2 weeks over in Belgium, Amsterdam, and Paris. Like, really? How can you even, I mean, that's an amazing situation, right? Like, wow, God, only God, really only God. And then in January, we spent the whole month down in Alabama speaking to small churches and going down there and sharing our heart and sharing Jesus. And it was just amazing. And I look back and think there's no way we could have done that without our first step back the year before, saying, okay, we'll try this homeschool thing because that's what we felt God was calling us to. And so I just wanted to come on and encourage you. I know that quite often in our lives, things just don't seem to make sense when that discussion comes up or that dream pops in. And then all of a sudden things begin to align. God puts a plan or a dream in your heart and you feel like it's dead, right? Like you feel like it's gone. Although I never dreamed in a million years about homeschooling, we always dreamed about going overseas. And in fact, 2 weeks from now, we're going back over to Brussels, Belgium, which we are so excited about. And in 2023, this year, my daughter this will be her third country for the year. And that is because we took the step of faith 3 years ago. Not because we're spectacular or God is, like buckets of money have opened up. We've worked very hard financially to make this work. But God has been faithful because we took that one step of faith 3 years ago, and we couldn't be doing this now. There's no way you can pull your child from school that often. But now school comes with you. So it's fabulous. You're like, honey, we're going to be taking this test and we're not home. So let's do this. But it's been so great. And so I just wanted to come on and encourage you that there are sometimes dreams that you've set to the side that you need to remember that God can be faithful, but there's little steps that you need to take along the way. It's what Dave Ramsey calls a snowball effect, right? I don't know if you've ever read his book. I never have. I just have 2 people in my life that have, and so I know more about it than the average bear maybe. But it is taking one baby step and that step leaning into the next step, which leans into the next step, and it makes a bigger snowball when you're making a snowman. Right? You start off with a little one and then you roll it in the snow until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just all of a sudden becomes like, oh wow, look what God has done. And so I just wanted to encourage you to be open to whatever God's doing. So if he's calling you to do something that doesn't make a lot of sense, you have no idea what kind of door it's going to end up opening later on down the road. In fact, I would never have thought, homeschooling will lead to us going overseas. Like it just never dawned on me that one would equate to the other. And that has always been our dream. 15 years ago, I remember that was one of the things we talked about. Like, wouldn't it be great now we can go overseas because you don't have a regular job? Not thinking, Jenny still does. I mean, we've done a lot of traveling, which has been great. But to be able to go do ministry is something that is our heart. And it's all because we took a step that didn't seem to fit with that other step. And so I want to encourage you that if you have a step in front of you that seems to be like, I feel like I should be doing this, but it doesn't make a lot of sense, step out into it and know that it's probably going to lead to the ultimate dream that you have for God. And I also want to encourage you in this. There are times in your life where you do not see a dream and you do not see hope and you do not see anything. Like I talked about in the last podcast, you feel like the rubble is around your feet and you're going, Lord, I don't know how you're going to do anything with this. And I am telling you, God takes ashes and makes beauty. That's what he does. That is his gift. He is not going to leave you in the ashes of life. He's going to make something beautiful thrive out of that. And my prayer for you is that you would get a glimmer of what he wants to do by giving you one little step, just a glimmer of who he is and his majesty and the beauty that he wants to create from the ashes that you feel like your life is right now. Because at that time when we started homeschooling, I really felt like our life was ashes. I really do. I knew God was doing stuff. You always have faith. I do, at least. That's kind of no matter what's going on, I always feel like God's got a plan. But I remember just going, all I see is ashes. All I see is heaps of little fires still going. And it was in the middle of the pandemic, and my daughter was, struggling to enjoy school, which was really sad. And we were trying to have faith that God would supply our needs according to his riches and glory, because we had just taken the step a few months ago for me to be full time with Kevin, and this would be our main thing. And it was very scary. And you're going, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't see financially how this is going to happen. And you're looking at the ashes all around, and you have no idea what step is going to get you out of those ashes and make them into beautiful flowers. But God does. And so I am just encouraging you as you are moving forward in your life, because we all have to move forward, right? That you would not remain stuck in your pain. You would not remain stuck in the rejection. You would not remain stuck in the frustration, but you would ask the Lord right now to give you a spark that would say, I just need one step, Lord, to know that you're here. I just need one thing to know that this is not where I'm going to remain. This is not where I'm going to remain. I'm not going to remain in a place of rejection. I am going to move forward and live in a place of acceptance and love from you. And I'm just praying that that's what happens in your life right now, that you will just take a few minutes, that you will take your snack and your drink, and even for me, I have my candle, and you will just set just a couple minutes aside today and say, I'm going to set some time aside and say, Lord, I have this big dream. It's dead, or I have ashes. I don't see how it's going to happen. But is there another thing you want me to do that may lead me to that step, may lead me to a place that I'm not in the ashes, that I can have your beauty, and that you will just sit in his presence just for a minute or two and see what God will reveal to you. Whether that just means that he just wants to say, I love you and I have a plan, or he's like, hey, I want you to take this next step. It's something small, but let's take that step together, you and God. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I am excited to see what God is going to continue to do in your life. I know that this has kind of become a theme, but I feel very passionate about it right now. I really feel like someone needs to hear that this is not where you have to stay. Where you are right now is not where you have to stay. God can give you something that may not look like the relief you want, but it will lead to something. It will become a snowball effect in your life. You can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and Be Real. You can also find me at christconnection.cc if you would like to contact me and have me come out, or if you just have a prayer request. Either way, it's great. I know that this podcast may not be for you, but is it for someone else in your life? Is this podcast something that you should share with somebody? And I just encourage you to do that this week. I encourage you to set some time aside just to snuggle in with the Lord and say, hey, do you have anything that maybe I'm missing that I can just take a next step? I'm guessing it's not going to be homeschooling for you, but for us, that's what it was. Just that simple step of faith to say we're going to homeschool. And now here we are 3 years later and loving our life and waiting for our next step too. I'll be honest, that's where I am today, going, Lord, what's the next step you want me to be taking that doesn't seem to line up with everything else, but I'm willing to take it anyway. You all have a great week.